What kind of person bans wheelchairs from a public park? Karen Hollis stood at the gate of Willow Creek Park, her arms crossed, her face twisted into a sneer that dared anyone to challenge her. The sign she'd nailed to the entrance was crude, handwritten in black marker, "No wheelchairs allowed. Keep paths clear." It was a sunny Saturday in Willow Creek, a small town where families gathered to picnic. Kids chased frisbees, and seniors strolled shaded paths. But today, the park was a battleground, and Karen had drawn the line. She wasn't a city official, not even a park employee, just a self-appointed gatekeeper who decided her vision of order trumped everyone else's rights. The air buzzed with tension as Emily Carter, a 28-year-old graphic designer who used a wheelchair, rolled up to the gate. Her hands gripped the wheels tightly, her jaw set. She'd come to meet friends for a picnic, but now she faced Karen's blockade. "This is a public park," Emily said, her voice steady but sharp. "You can't do this." Karen's eyes narrowed, her voice dripping with condescension. "I'm protecting the paths. Your chair tears them up. Take it somewhere else." The words hit like a slap, but Emily didn't flinch. She'd dealt with people like Karen before, people who saw her disability as an inconvenience, not a reality to respect. Behind Emily, a small crowd began to gather. A jogger slowed, earbuds dangling, her brow furrowing as she read the sign. A father pushing a stroller whispered to his wife, who shook her head in disbelief. Karen stood taller, relishing the attention, convinced her stance was righteous. She'd been complaining for months about clutter in the park: bikes, skateboards, and, most of all, wheelchairs. To her, they were obstacles, not tools for freedom. She'd petitioned the city council, but when they ignored her, she took matters into her own hands. The sign was her declaration of war, and she was ready to defend it. Emily, though, wasn't backing down. She pulled out her phone, her fingers flying across the screen as she recorded Karen's tirade. "Say that again," Emily challenged, holding the phone steady. "Tell everyone why you're banning me." Karen leaned forward, her voice rising. "I'm keeping this park safe and clean. You people don't understand how much damage you cause." The crowd gasped, and the jogger stepped forward, her voice shaking with anger. "You people? Are you serious?" Karen didn't blink. She doubled down, pointing at Emily's wheelchair. "Those tires ruin the gravel. I'm doing what's best for everyone." The video went live on X within minutes. Emily's post, tagged with Willow Creek Access, spread like wildfire. Comments poured in, each one angrier than the last. "Who does she think she is? This is illegal. Get her out of there." By noon, the post had thousands of shares, and local news outlets picked up the story. Karen, oblivious to the growing storm, stood her ground, arguing with anyone who approached. A park ranger, a young man named Jamal, arrived after a frantic call from a bystander. He scanned the sign, then Karen, his face a mix of confusion and frustration. "Ma'am, you can't block access like this. It's against the law." Karen scoffed, waving a hand. "I'm a taxpayer. I have rights. This park is for everyone, not just them." Jamal's jaw tightened, but before he could respond, Emily spoke up, her voice cutting through the noise. "It's not your park to gatekeep. It's ours. The crowd murmured in agreement. And for the first time, Karen's smirk faltered. She hadn't expected resistance not like this. As the confrontation escalated, a new figure emerged from the crowd, Gwen, a local activist who'd seen Emily's post on X. Sarah was petite but fierce, her eyes blazing as she marched toward Karen. She carried a stack of flyers about disability rights, her hands trembling with purpose. "You're violating the ADA," Sarah said, her voice loud enough for the crowd to hear. "Public spaces are for everyone, and you don't get to decide who's worthy." Karen rolled her eyes, but Sarah wasn't done. She turned to the crowd, holding up a flyer. "This isn't just about one sign. It's about people like her thinking they can control who belongs." The crowd erupted in cheers, and Karen's face reddened. She hadn't counted on Thesa United Front, a growing movement. Sarah handed Emily a flyer, their eyes meeting in a moment of quiet solidarity. It was a twist no one saw coming. What started as Karen's petty power play was becoming a rallying cry. Emily, still recording, zoomed in on the flyer. Its bold text reading, "Access is a right, not a privilege." The video's views skyrocketed, and hashtags like Justice for Willow Creek trended nationwide. Karen, for the first time, looked small, her authority crumbling under the weight of public outrage. The park was no longer just a park, it was a stage, and Karen was losing control of the script. By late afternoon, news vans lined the street, their cameras trained on the gate where Karen stood, now flanked by 2 police officers. The crowd had swelled to dozens, some holding signs that echoed Sarah's flyer, "Access for all" and "No more Karens." Emily sat at the center of it all, her wheelchair a symbol of defiance. Her phone buzzed with notifications messages of support from strangers across the country, some sharing their own stories of discrimination. But Karen wasn't ready to surrender. She shouted over the crowd, her voice shrill. "I'm not the villain here. I'm protecting this park from people who don't care about it." The officers exchanged glances, one of them stepping forward to ask her to remove the sign. Karen refused, clutching the wooden stake like a lifeline. "You can't make me," she snapped. "I know my rights." The officer sighed, explaining that the Americans with Disabilities Act protected Emily's right to access the park. Karen's eyes widened, but not with understanding, with defiance. "Laws don't trump common sense," she spat. The crowd booed, and a teenager in the back yelled, "You're the one breaking the law." The twist deepened when a man in a suit arrived, introducing himself as Councilman David Ruiz. He'd been tagged in Emily's post and had rushed to the scene, his face grim. Ruiz was known for his quiet demeanor, but today, his voice carried authority. "Mrs. Hollis," he said, addressing Karen directly, "you violated city ordinances and federal law. This stops now." He gestured to the sign, and Jamal, the park ranger, stepped forward to pull it down. The crowd cheered as the sign hit the ground, but Karen lunged forward, trying to grab it. "This is my park," she screamed, her voice cracking. The officers restrained her, not with force, but with calm insistence, guiding her away from the gate. Emily rolled forward, her wheels crunching over the gravel Karen had claimed to protect. She looked at Ruiz, her eyes shining with a mix of relief and exhaustion. "Thank you," she said quietly. Ruiz nodded, then turned to the crowd. "This park belongs to everyone. We'll make sure it stays that way. His words were met with applause. But Karen's shouts still echoed, now from the edge of the scene, where she argued with the officers. As the sun dipped lower, the confrontation took a darker turn. A local reporter, Lisa Chun, approached Emily with a microphone, her camera crew capturing every word. "Can you tell us why you're here?" Lisa asked. Emily took a deep breath, her voice steady but emotional. "I just wanted to enjoy the park like everyone else." But people like her, she glanced at Karen. Now red-faced and gesturing wildly, they make it feel like we don't belong. Lisa nodded, then turned to Karen, who was still arguing with the officers. "Mrs. Hollis, do you have anything to say?" Karen's response was a tirade, caught on camera for the evening news. "This is about fairness. Why should I have to deal with their mess?" The crowd's boos drowned her out, and Lisa's expression hardened. She turned back to the camera. "What we're seeing here is a community standing up for what's right. This isn't just about a sign, it's about who gets to belong." The broadcast aired that night, amplifying the story to a national audience. X posts exploded with clips of Karen's outburst, each one fueling the outrage. Hashtags like Karen at Willow Creek and Access Night trended alongside memes mocking Karen's "Protect the Paths" mantra. But the real blow came quietly, away from the cameras. Sarah, the activist, had been working behind the scenes, contacting a disability rights lawyer named Rachel Kim. Rachel arrived at the park just as the crowd began to disperse, her briefcase stuffed with legal documents. She approached Emily, her voice calm but firm. "We can file a complaint with the city and pursue federal charges if needed. This isn't just about today, it's about making sure this never happens again." Emily nodded, her hands trembling as she realized the weight of what was unfolding. Sarah handed her a card with Rachel's contact information, and the three women stood together, watching as Karen was escorted to a police car for questioning. The park, now quiet, felt different, like a space reclaimed. But the fight wasn't over. Karen's actions had sparked something bigger, and the consequences were just beginning to unfold. Karen's world unraveled in the days that followed. The video of her rant played on loop across news channels, her face a symbol of entitlement gone wrong. Willow Creek's City Council, under pressure from the public and Councilman Ruiz, held an emergency meeting. The room was packed, with Emily, Sarah, and Rachel seated in the front row. Karen was there too, alone in the back, her arms crossed, her face a mask of defiance. The council's decision was swift. Karen was fined $5,000 for violating city ordinances and ordered to pay restitution for emotional distress caused to Emily and others. But the real punishment came when the city announced a new policy. All public parks would undergo accessibility audits, with funds allocated for ramps, smoother paths, and staff training. The crowd erupted in applause, but Karen stood abruptly, storming out of the room. Her exit was captured by a local blogger, who posted it on X with the caption, "Karen's reign is over." The post went viral, and Karen's name became a cautionary tale. The legal fallout hit harder. Rachel filed a federal complaint under the ADA, citing Karen's actions as discriminatory and harmful. The case gained traction, with disability rights groups rallying behind Emily. Karen, now facing potential civil penalties, hired a lawyer, but her defense was weak. She claimed she was protecting the community, but the evidence Emily's video, witness statements, and the sign itself was damning. At a hearing, Karen took the stand, her voice shaking as she tried to justify her actions. "I just wanted the park to stay nice," she said, her eyes darting to the judge. The room was silent, but Emily's gaze was steady, her presence a quiet rebuke. The judge ruled in Emily's favor, ordering Karen to attend sensitivity training and perform 200 hours of community service, specifically helping with park accessibility projects. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Karen would now work to fix the very paths she tried to gatekeep. The emotional weight of the victory settled over Willow Creek like a warm breeze. Emily returned to the park a week later, her friends waiting at the picnic tables. The gate was wide open, the sign gone, replaced by a new plaque, Willow Creek Park, open to all. Sarah was there, too, handing out flyers for a new advocacy group she'd started with Rachel's help. The park felt alive again, filled with laughter and chatter. Not tension. But the story's heart lay in what came next. Emily started a blog, sharing her experience and other stories of overcoming discrimination. It gained a following, inspiring people far beyond Willow Creek. One post, titled "We Belong," went viral, with thousands of comments from people sharing their own fights for access and acceptance. Emily's words struck a chord. No one gets to decide who belongs. We do be showing up, by speaking out, by refusing to be erased. Karen, meanwhile, faded from the spotlight. Her community service hours were spent laying gravel for new accessible paths, her face flushed with something that might have been shame or just exhaustion. She never apologized, but those who worked with her noticed a Chanhea quieter demeanor, a reluctance to meet anyone's eyes. The park became a symbol of something bigger, a community that fought for its own. That turned outrage into action. Emily, Sarah, and Rachel stayed in touch, their bond forged in that chaotic day at the gate. They spoke at city council meetings, advocating for more than just ramps for a world where access wasn't a battle. The story of Willow Creek spread, inspiring other towns to audit their parks, to listen to voices like Emily's. It wasn't just a victory over one woman's prejudice. It was a reminder that change starts when someone refuses to roll away. And as Emily sat in the park, the sun warm on her face, she knew this was only the beginning.